Hello, hello, welcome back. We are getting ready for Knuckles Chaotix. First off, I would like to acknowledge a donation from Moderately OK Machines. We have $67.67. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the donation. We really appreciate it over here. All right, without further ado, I will hand it over to S2.
What is up, guys? It is S2 here. Today we are going to be playing some Knuckles Chaotix to start things off. I want to let you guys in on a little one between me and the rest of the Sonic Speedrun crew here. Shout out to them. Shout out to None with those excellent runs that we just watched. Sonic Speedrunners, we don't say what's up to each other. We say, what is Sonicking? So what is Sonicking, my guys? We're going to get right into this run. I'm going to go ahead and get us started here in 3, 2, 1, go. So actually it was a little bit late, but whatever, it doesn't matter. So for those of you who have seen this game before, you know this is not your average Sonic game. It's going to be a little bit crazy here. We're going to see a lot of stuff. I'm going to do my best to keep you guys in the loop on what is happening. So you are already seeing that we're playing as 2 people instead of 1, which means I'm going to have to really pay attention to where this other guy is at all times and use him to the best of my ability to generate momentum to get through some stages faster. There also is a lot of glitches in this game. We're going to be showcasing glitches in almost every level. There was one already, so you're going to see a lot of that clipping through walls here. And we're going to be doing it again here, hopefully. Yes, this is a beautiful, beautiful start to that run right there. Those are some of the harder clips in the game because they can soft lock you, so being past the in my opinion, the biggest soft locking point in the whole game is really huge. Very excited to be into the game proper, if you will. And yeah, we're going to be getting out of the tutorial and we're going to be saying goodbye to SBO in just a couple of seconds here. So we're going to be switching over to the full main game. So for those fans of randomizer speedruns, you would probably like this game a lot because we are going to be getting into 25 levels all in a completely random order. And we will also be choosing our partner in a somewhat random, not really random, but it becomes a mini game right here where we have to pick him up. So as long as I don't miss, he's surrounded by some of the worst characters in the game. Those 2 heavy guys there named Heavy, they will just drag you down. But luckily we got who we wanted. We're going with SBO, or Mighty, not SBO. Many of the other top runners of this game choose SBO. I personally like Mighty, so any of my Mighty fans out there, you're going to get to see him. And you'll maybe get to see him a little bit more in our next run that we have coming up after this one. It'll be a Sega Sonic the Hedgehog. So my Mighty fans, get hype. But getting into our first level here, we are in Speed Slider, and we're going to be seeing a lot of the tech of this game is moving through the air by throwing, catching our characters midair, and then bringing them back down. Another thing you're going to see is when they come up towards the screen at us, that is me calling the character to me. That puts the partner where I'm at, but it costs me 10 rings, which is actually a good thing. If you look at my ring counter, it's negative. We are in debt. That is a good thing. Usually that's not a good thing in this game. It is a great thing because it means that we get to skip the countdown timer at the end of the level. So that's awesome for us. We're going to be trying to get into as much debt as possible. And in every level except the bosses, hopefully we will be finishing out with a negative. Well, even in the boss levels, we should still be finishing out with a negative ring count. So, like I said, I said we're going to be getting random, but it seems the game wants to give me them 2 in a row. It happens like that sometimes. Kind of an interesting one on how that is chosen, and I will actually be talking about that more later in the game. So For anybody wanting an explanation on that, you will get it. You will just have to wait a couple of minutes here. But breezing through these speed slider zones, they're very, very quick, very short and sweet. Not too much to say about them, not the most technical levels, but very much a lot of remembering needed in this game. Like I said, overall there's 30, 31, 32 levels, depending on what you consider a level, you know, boss fights and whatever. But there's many stages in this game, which, you know, you have 5 acts for each zone. So when you look at all of them, a lot of them look very samey. There's a lot of memorization needed for this game. So I'm going to be doing my best not to forget where I'm at and make it through. The Marina Madness zone that we're in right now is my personal favorite of the 5. Though of course I have already forgotten where I'm at and I am falling into the traps I just said I was going to attempt to avoid. But we will make our way around here and get in the right area. So I have failed to get not a low enough ring count, so you're going to see this big countdown that I was talking about trying to skip. But yeah, I like the Marina Madness zone the best. I like a lot of the set pieces and how the background colors look. This game, you know, a lot of the discourse about this game is about how stylish it is and how good the music is. So I'm going to give a shout to Marina Madness there for having my favorite style and music in the game. But trucking right along here, you're going to notice that a lot of the early game is these really short, really fast levels. And then later on, we're going to see a couple boss fights. We're going to see a couple longer ones. And this in here, Amazing Arena, actually is more in the longer zone categories because all of these levels start with the lights off. And so we are going to have to find a button to turn them on. That one, it's right there, very simple. Some of them are a bit later in the level. Of course, with us breezing through levels, it never takes too long to find them. This zone also has mini bosses on each of the level. So we were able to skip that one right there. That is a very, very precise trick to pull off. But luckily we were able to skip that one in the first one. It's more than likely that I won't hit all 3 of them in this run, so we will probably eventually get to see one of those mini bosses where you fight the Eggman robot. But luckily we had a really fast Amazing Arena 1, keeping up just a super strong pace right now, going into the first probably 10 minutes. I can't see the timer, so I'm not sure, but if I had to guess based on my pace, I'd say we're maybe at the 10-minute mark or somewhere around it, I'd hope. Hopefully I'm not 20 minutes and just scraping the surface of this game. So just keeping right along. A lot of fun to be had here with some of these glitches. A lot of them are really cool. So I guess to talk about, we're getting a lockup. That's actually the game trying to figure out what state to put Mighty in. So here we are going to be going in at a couple of frames every time he touches the ground until I can get him back to a normal state, which is right there. But yeah, so to talk about, I'm going to be waiting for him. He decided to leave me. But to talk about the history of this speed run, up until very recently, the meta for this game was to use Charmy B, who has flying ability to just kind of fly through levels instead of tackle them more head-on. But recently, the runner Hagenberg, who was up until only maybe a month ago the world record holder, found out a lot of these skips with Knuckles. So shout out to him, and shout out to Lolo, who is the current world record holder as well, for discovering these tricks and creating this meta for the game as it is right now. I personally think it's a much more interesting way to play this game. with all the tricks and stuff. It's very immersive, and like I said too, with the random element of the levels, it's a little different each time. So, in my opinion, really good speed run. Really, engaging. I like that a lot about this game. So, getting into this level, this one is my personal favorite in the whole run, just because the strat is really good for, the time save. It's really awesome the way that collision lines up right there. That second clip caught me, but no big deal. We're just gonna fly right through it. Less than 15 seconds. Doing pretty good there. Getting right along with it. Gonna say I love my red Sonic characters. They gotta be my favorite genre of Sonic characters right there. These two guys, they're great. Some of the best, really, in my opinion. Can't think of too many other red Sonic characters because I guess they got it so right the first time around that they just decided to stop with these two guys. So that's pretty neat. Yeah, cool guys, cool game. I think this is our first Techno Tower. These ones are also very much like up and right. The goal is always going to be, somewhere at the top. Oops. So we're just going to be taking a little flight through the air there. Hopefully, oops, jumped over the goalpost. Okay, that one was very close to another thing I need to talk about. So for the score countdown, obviously I need to have negative points to avoid that whole score countdown and having to wait for it to count down. But if my time ends on an exact second, so if it had been 20 seconds and 00 milliseconds instead of 20:03, then I would have gotten a bonus that I would have had to wait for the countdown anyways. So I've got to be a little mindful. Obviously, I'm not really watching, the milliseconds and like aiming at one specifically, but that can really throw your run to get a bad millisecond count on the end of that, and you can lose quite a fair amount of time to those. So that is one thing to be mindful of. This level also is another one with a very, very tricky strat, so I'm going to be trying to lock in a bit on this one. There is going to be a clip where I need to get through the wall and then jump while I'm in the wall, coming up right about here. So I've got to focus in on this, or else I will have to take a very lengthy backup strat, which I don't want to do. And I was able to do it using the hold. Now I've just got to skip the mini boss, which I wasn't able to do because I accidentally threw him the wrong way. So here's that mini boss I was talking about, and as you'll see in my demonstration here, it is definitely a lot of time to be lost because I have to wait for him to come out, wait for him to go away, wait for all these rings to drop, and then I can move. So, and then Mighty wants to go explore, which who am I to stop him? Other than the guy playing the game, of course. So we're getting that one. I think that's our first level, though, that we've been over a minute for. All of these other levels have been just really, we've really been flying through them. I've been super impressed by the pace that we're on. So we're doing pretty well so far, which is good. Another shout out I have to give is, of course, anybody that uses the Genesis 3 button controller. I'm not a fan of the 6 button, so I want to shout out to all my 3 button homies out there. Repping you guys using the correct controller right now. And I don't want to hear anybody say that this isn't the right one, because it is. I cannot believe this is our first botanic base, because this is usually one of the first levels in the game that you will get. But here we are in a sub 10-second run on that level, just absolutely breezing through it. This is another fan favorite level. they're a lot bigger usually. They start small. This one is obviously one of the smaller levels, but by the time you get to Botanic Base level 4 and 5, we're going to be really fighting our way through some real labyrinthian levels. So we got a lot of map remembering skills that we're going to need to pull out here. But so far, I don't have a whole ton that I've really got to complain about. Going to be coming into this one with some new skips right about here. I think this is the first clip that we've had where it hasn't been an L-shaped wall, but actually a round one, which means the method is a little different. Managed to hit it, but unfortunately I still was on the other side of that door. Luckily I hit that one, so we're going to be exiting this one once again in less than 20 seconds. Having a really, really, really strong pace right now. Only a handful of snags here and there. Like I said, that one point where the game decided to just stop on me because Mighty couldn't figure out if he was on the ground or not. But this game is really, I'd like to think it's very technically advanced for the time it came out. Obviously the hardware it's on is a little esoteric. We had quite the struggle here, even just getting the thing plugged in. If you know, you know. The 32X uses 2 giant blocks for power outlets, so you know, finding 2 available plugs is always a struggle. And if you've got the Sega CD as well, then you're running 3, which is crazy. But you know, luckily we're able to do it. We're able to show off this awesome game. Not a ton of people have played this one compared to the other classic Sonic games. Even Sonic CD gets a little bit more love than this one. So I'm always very pleased to be able to show this one off. Like I was saying earlier, I think it's a really good speedrunning game just because of how fresh it stays with the movement and with the random elements. So I like to advocate for this game. I think it's really good. I will definitely say if you want to enjoy the game to its fullest, I think it's best experienced with a friend. So if you can talk a buddy into playing this one with you, that's always the right way to play this game. Really good way to experience it for the first time. In the speedrunning world, we have two main categories, which are split up into single player and co-op. So this one is beat the game. We're just trying to get through the game as fast as possible. Just like some other Sonic games, if you collect enough rings, you will be able to get into a special stage. So 50 rings at the end of the level will bring up a giant ring that brings you to the special stage. There are Chaos Rings in this game instead of Chaos Emeralds. They were really going on a ring emphasis because, you know, you carry the rings that are tethered together and there's rings everywhere and the big rings and, you know, now Chaos Rings. So we've got the whole party here, but they were really going in on that. But there is a best ending category as well for this game. It is a pretty interesting run. Hopefully at some point, you know, I'll get to showcase that one as well. So lots of different ways to experience the game, but in my opinion, you can talk a friend into trying it out with you. That's always going to be the most fun. And as for a speed run, it's not terribly hard to pick up either. There's a lot of learning tools for this game at this point. A lot of guides, tasks, a couple write-ups, level maps are out there. So there is a lot of resources if you would like to pick this game up as a speedrunning game as well. And of course, you can always reach out to me. I love to bring new runners in and help them grow on that as well. So we are just under the minute mark on that level. That one is a real doozy, though there have been some new strats that have been discovered for it. I am not going to go for them. I do not feel as though I can hit them on the first try. So I'm just kind of doing a little, you know, casual stroll through that level, losing a little time there, no big deal. But I mean, I really just can't emphasize enough. Like we're trucking through a lot of these levels are going exactly how I'd want them to. So, I mean, that's really great for this run. I've not got anything that I'm really regretting at the moment. This is another one. Oops. This is another one of the Techno Towers, which means we are going to be, as the famous musician Travis Scott said, going straight up. Oops. Well, here I am falling all the way off the map. Okay, there we go. Not a bad time. So, we're blazing through this, having a good time, getting to see the sights, getting sucked into this galaxy background a billion times. Not really sure what the thought was there with that one. I think they were maybe just trying to show off the hardware. I'm not really sure, but it's a cool background. I think it's nice.
Unfortunately,
nice.
the game's purple. I don't know what to do.
Moving on to Marina Madness 4, we're in a later stage of this level, which means we are probably going to be coming up on the boss soon. And Marina Madness's 5th stage also happens to be one of, if not the hardest stage in the game. So we're going to be really holding out some hope there. Okay, that one is good. Okay, and yeah. A lot of these stages have very difficult and tight movement, but you can break it down thankfully into steps. So if you miss something, you're generally able to just try it again and not lose too much time, which is a really good thing for that. So after a couple tries, we were able to hit that clip, which is a little harder because there's not a great visual cue for where to line up to start to get through that wall, but thankfully we were able to do it no problem. Just a couple of tries on that. So I believe we will be getting another Techno Tower, which this is Techno Tower 3. So once again, halfway through. I feel like we're about halfway through each of the levels because we're on Botanic 3, Techno 3, Amazing Arena 3, Marina Madness 5. So we're about halfway through. Just kind of gonna keep running here. This one is one of the more cramped up levels, and it's also got a very tricky ending. We are actually going to the left this time to hit that goalpost instead of the right. So that one can be a real tricky level there. Really get you at the end type of situation, but not us. We know where we're going. We're able to find it no problem. So thankfully, we will be moving on from that stage. This game does have a save feature as well, as you've probably noticed by the exit sign at the beginning of this kind of stage select area. So if you don't want to play the game in one sitting, you are not required to. Unlike some of the other Sonic games, we did see Sonic 3 that was run by None a few minutes ago also has that stage select, or I mean save file select. But yeah, some of the classic Sonic games didn't let you save. This one thankfully does, so you can keep your progress, which I think is a neat touch. I think that's very cool of them to include. Let's see, I'm going to be going for a trick here that may or may not work. Okay, it did not work, so we're going to be going for the backup, which we will need Mighty for here, but he's kind of not wanting to cooperate with me on it. There we go. And just like that at the end of the level. So most of those amazing arenas really drag us around and make us go through all sorts of hoops. That one we're able to just kind of fly right to the end, which is really awesome and works out really well for us. So I think the next amazing arena we will get, whenever we see it, is the longest one of the bunch, excluding the boss fight in the last level. But it is the longest in terms of level content. So we will be doing a lot more adventuring on that one, which is all right. Coming up on Speed Slider 4. This one is one of the shortest level. I believe this is 4. I could be wrong. This could be 3. Actually, it's probably 3. Yep, coming up on Speed Slider 3. Don't get me to lying now. We're going to be going straight up. And a lot of these weird set pieces are things that have cutscenes related to them. Another piece of the 32X technology they were really trying to show off with this game is the graphical scaling. I think kind of similar to the Super Nintendo's Mode 7, but not identical. So a lot of these things will kind of hold you in place and move you and show you a cutscene, and we definitely want to avoid those in the speed run. So if you see me moving around an object that looks a little too 3D and shaded and not really in the style, that's usually why, is because I am trying to avoid something. So really stacking up our low numbered stages so that we'll probably end up with a big boss gauntlet at the end of the game. Okay, now we're going into Speed Slider 4, which is one of the shortest levels in the game. If done properly, I'm going to be going for a skip that saves not even half a second. Hopefully we'll be able to hit it. Really interesting, more just style trick if I can hit it. And I hit it. Let's go. That's awesome. So now we're going to be coming out of this one just over 10 seconds, just over 11 seconds actually, but really fast level, really easy to just breeze through, especially with that skip right there, but you can just jump over that block and get through, so not a huge time save, mostly just a swag strat. But that leaves us with 2 levels now that we are right on the boss for. So we're, like I said, I think we're just going to end up having a big boss gauntlet at the end of the game rather than having them peppered throughout, which is okay. I don't mind it so much. It definitely, calms the nerves a little bit to get some of the bosses out of the way, but we'll make it through. There's only some of the bosses are a little bit harder than others, though we will be getting our first boss level right now with Botanic Base 5. So still a level in front of the boss. Gonna want to have at least a few rings just to make sure that I don't die, because dying is definitely a good way to lose time. But we're gonna be coming in to our first one a little bit down the road here. Just gotta make it through the level. I believe I am in the incorrect area, actually. Let me get back on track here. There is where I need to be going. I just wanted to take a ride on the elevator for fun, Okay, and we will be saving some time by skipping these elevators. As you probably saw earlier, if I am carrying Mighty, then he will not go on the elevator. So we are able to actually fly up those using our super fling technique that is a little bit faster than waiting for those elevators. Now this boss is going to pick up Mighty, so the name of the game for us is just going to be getting on top of him and bouncing. So I'm gonna try and hang out until he comes over here and then bounce on him. Sometimes he will hit us at the end of the final hit. It could even get into a messy situation where he doesn't die before he does, but luckily we just got hit, which is actually a good thing for us because we're able to get our rings taken care of, so we won't have to wait for any countdown, even though it's a shorter countdown because we don't have such a big bonus.
I wasn't sure.
So I am glad that we were able to have that cycle on the boss. Worked out pretty well for us. So that's one stage down, 4 more to go, but they shouldn't last long. Like I said, we are pretty close to the end of each one of them. So if we're getting our Techno Tower 4 here. And we've got this stage and I believe one more amazing arena and then all bosses. So that's going to be really fun to just knock them all out, see what all of them are, and go from there. Let's see. Need to get this clip here. Then we can go up here. This level may be the speedrunner's choice level if I had to give one to any, because it's got a couple different routes that are all about the same length in time. So it's pretty interesting one. You get a lot of, chance to freestyle on it however you'd like to. The route I just took there isn't the route I normally take, but I was able to get through it fairly quickly anyways. So all's well that ends well there. But yeah, I would say I definitely have to give an award to that level for that. And now coming into Amazing Arena 4. So we really are going to have all of our bosses all together at the end, but that's what you sign up for sometimes when you play a game with random level selection, so I can't be mad. But that's going to be quite interesting. This level also has a little bit of challenge to it with the way it is set up. There's some pretty hard skips in it. Some of them are very, very demanding on the setup and very low on the time save. So we're gonna do what we can, and I'll try to hit everything that's here. So there's the first one. I'm hitting it, but our good friend Mighty there got stuck in the floor. I'm gonna go for the second one, but I won't guarantee, yeah, I'm not gonna go for it, because if you miss it, you can get put wildly off track if you land in that transporter thing. So we're just gonna go around. Doesn't lose terribly too much time to do that. We got the invincibility power up, which I didn't really want to get because of how much it lags the game, but it may actually help me out here because it helped me to skip that mini boss by having the game just running slightly slower. So in that instance, actually a good thing for me to have that. Just those stars, all the stars on the screen tend to lag the game down a little bit, but helped me out there. So shout out those stars. Just over a minute on that level, which once again, like I said earlier in the run, is probably one of the most lengthy runs in the whole game, or lengthy levels in the whole run. So really glad to have that one behind me. And we're just gonna get into this big boss gauntlet now. We've got 4 boss levels in a row, starting with Amazing Arena, of course. Just got out of it, getting right back into it. But this boss is pretty odd. I'll say it's the one I probably lose the most runs to, just because the boss is actually a little tricky. This is another one of those levels where it looks like you're going to go one way, but you actually go another. So starting going up, then we are going to be sent down to this area, and we're going to be knocking out that light switch first. So, oh, I did not need to call him there, but that's okay. There we go. And we're already up to the boss. Really, really short amount of distance that we had to cover in that Amazing Arena. That's always a good thing. The less area you have to go through means the less you have to remember about it, so always helps. So we're going to be fighting this guy. He should be a familiar boss if you've played Sonic 2 or Sonic Mania. He works very similarly to the Hoi Poi Eggman, who just kind of summons monsters and also floats around. We're going to lose our ring. Mighty coming in clutch, picking it back up, but just going to be kind of trying to stay away. We got him, so that's good. That's a really, really good thing to be out of the way. But all of the bosses we have left are actually somewhat challenging. I'm not going to say that that's the hardest one. It's just an easy one to mess up, but once again, so are the others, just kind of depending on, you know, how many rings you go into them with and what kind of, you know, what kind of strategy you have playing at them. Because if you're going to play more aggressively to try to save time, then you can really make mistakes. We're going to be going into Marina Madness 5, which has, in my opinion, the hardest skip in the game. We're going to need to clip through a loop-de-loop, which is just so hard. We don't really have a great way to set it up. So everybody cross your fingers that this one works. Because who knows how long it will take me to get through. Okay, we were able to get through pretty fast. That's really quite exciting. I'd like to get some more rings. Okay, there are some right there. So I have a few rings, but I think I'm still going to play it safe. There is a strategy where you can get one character pinned on top and one character pinned on the bottom of the boss here, but I'm probably not going to go for it because of where I'm at with rings. First, we have to sit through this cutscene where they show us this shape. They're really proud of this shape. So next time you see a Sega employee, make sure to let them know, hey, good job on making that blue shape in Chaotix. That was really cool. Okay, so this is actually the method I was talking about. And that's why I said I wasn't sure about going for it, is because you kind of have to tank some hits. And I just don't want to do that, especially when this is going to happen. So I can play it safe and wait for Mighty, but I'm actually just going to go ahead and kill him anyways because I know that I can. But if you get hit with your partner gone, then you will have to restart the whole level. You'll be booted back to the menu, rather. So we got to be very careful in that kind of instance, just to make sure that we don't get into that situation and have to replay a whole level, especially not that one, because like I said, that clip can lose minutes if it just doesn't happen, and I'm really just at the mercy of the game letting it happen. So if that one doesn't go off, then you know that could be like many minutes that we lose if I had to replay that one. So really glad to have that one behind me. Not going to say we're home free yet though, because we still have a few more bosses to take care of, and like I said, all of them do have their challenges. This one, I'd say the boss isn't necessarily the challenge as much as the level itself. This level is just very large and confusing, and has this thing, the tiny monitor, which luckily Mighty got for me, because if I had gotten it, I would be in big trouble. I'm also going to have to backtrack a bit to avoid falling down this hole, or I guess not. I'm going to have to fall down the hole, but try to get back up it. And luckily we were able to, because we need to be here. Then we can come outside. Luckily the boss is still in the same place as every other ending to the level, right on top of the tower. If you look at a map of these levels, they always are built like an actual tower. So that's kind of cool. You don't really get that idea in the game. You know, it just, like the rest of the game, kind of just looks like a jumble of walls and floors, but it is really actually like built like a tower. So kind of cool there that they, you know, went that far to do that. We're really having trouble with this one. And luckily Mighty was able to finish him for us, so that's really cool. I was going to play it a little more safe and pick up some rings, but Mighty was feeling it there, so he clutched up for me. So shout out Mighty right there. But that will bring us down to our last of the main levels now. That, what is it? Speed Slider 5. This one, once again, the boss is kind of tricky, the level's kind of tricky, so good one to finish out on. This really technical level, but Then going after that, there will be the final boss where I will finally explain how the level selection system works. Like I said, I was going to at the start of the run. So hopefully, if you were excited for that explanation, you'll be excited to see the boss fight. Okay, so I'm not going to get that clip, which is very similar to the one in the last speed slider. I'm going to be going down here, which is okay, because we should still be able to get a few rings before the boss. I'm going to traverse a little slowly here to make sure I don't fall on some spikes that are right there. So I'm going to kind of go. Okay, we're actually still at a negative ring count, so we have to be careful not to take any hits during this boss fight. And this is actually a cool visual glitch that we're seeing where Mighty was switched into a different character, but switched back and got his original color palette, and it messed up that cutscene because it is piggybacking off of the active colors on screen. So this level, you'll kind of see I'm fighting to walk left. It is like a carousel and the floor is constantly moving, but luckily we were able to get through it really quickly without taking any damage. So that is the main game done. Now we just have our final boss. So that's really exciting. We're going to be coming up on the last few minutes here of the run. So really, really stoked to see how we do. And really excited to get into these last two levels because the final boss is actually really quite cool. So I'm excited to show that one off too. So here we are. Now we're going to be fighting Metal Sonic, who actually uses the level selector as his main mechanic. So you're going to see, you may have been noticing if you've been watching it very carefully, the light on this level selector goes around. So yes, it's technically random, but also it's not. So we need to stop it on the one in its cycle before the X to hit him. And I'm going to be using a pause strategy for this to do so, because that makes it easier, and that way I won't have to deal with the consequences of missing it, because if you miss it, then he will launch an attack on you, and that's no good. So, but luckily we're able to use the pause strat to just cheese through this fight, and now we are on the final boss. So what is Eggman inventing? Apparently a cube with a ring in it, but you know, that was his grand invention this time around. You know, usually he's trying to take over the world or something. This time he's making a cube, inventing Minecraft. I don't know, but not really good to lose our rings there. We only get the ones we start with, so I'm gonna try to at least hang on to one of them. Mighty's not really cooperating with me to get rid of him there. The second phase is going to be him hitting the ground, but after that first hit, he can't hit this back corner, so I just need to keep Mighty from running out and messing it up, and I can just stand here and take easy shots on him while he does that. So we're gonna just keep hitting him, and then we will be getting into the final phase after that, in which it will fade to white, and then we'll be at our final time. So that's going to be coming up soon here. I just have to get a few hits on him. I've got to get Mighty in the right position. He shouldn't be able to hit me down there. That time he was, who knows why. But we're just going to be doing this to drag him out by running to this side when he comes out, flinging across and hitting him, and then we should... There we go, and that's going to be the end of the game, so we are going to be coming up on time right now, and that's the end of the game. So that's time. I guess the timer's still running, but I'm going to clap for myself because I think I did a good job, so yay to me. I feel like I did a good run there. You're good, no worries. So yeah, that's Knuckles Chaotix, often forgotten classic Sonic game in that set of games. And yeah, I Want to say thanks to everybody who watched that run. Want to say if you're at all interested in it, you should pick it up. And we can check our IGT was 17:51, so that's not a bad time at all. Anything below 20 minutes, pretty cool, really fast. So that was really, really, really good. So yeah.
Cool. We can take a short break, and then we'll come back.